Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back. Pickers Market Podcast 104. This is the second take for us, Keith, Tyler, and Lisa. We might have to do a little bit of meditation after the fact because we're all kind of in a bad mood by now.
Yeah,
because we were 11 minutes in and it didn't work.
In the world of AI.
Yeah, right. We are basically
Can't figure this out.
we are struggling today.
We're gonna have to
people.
have AI Lisa, maybe AI Keith and Tyler next episode.
Maybe they're doing a little bit better on the tech side. Anyways, we are back. We try to keep the mood up, guys.
Yes.
We're all back. We're smiling and happy. And now, oh God, Tyler, this is way too loud. Anyways, we make it happen now. So let's start again. Two truths and a lie. You all heard it by now. So you have to give the same
I'm
answers.
going the same thing.
So erase your minds of what the lie was. We have an OpenAI XAI edition today. So 1, OpenAI was founded in 2015 as a non-profit organization for the benefit of humanity. 2, OpenAI created the first ever AI model. Or 3, XAI was founded by Elon Musk in 2023 after he publicly criticized other AI companies. Keith.
Oh, all right. Well, first of all, I got a problem with 1, 2, 3. That was ABC, so I'm gonna start there. So
that was the prior episode. I tightened my answers a little bit.
All right. So we got 3. C. I'm gonna start reverse order again. 3 or C. I like to refer to. XAI was founded by Elon Musk in 2023, and he criticized other companies. That's definitely true. He's criticizing other companies. I think 2023 is when he founded it, so I don't think Lisa messed with the dates like she historically does. Then now it's down between 1 and 2, or A and B, for which one's a lie. And I'm gonna say OpenAI was founded in 2015 as a nonprofit for the benefit of humanity. I think it was for the benefit of humanity. It's true. I think 2015. I don't know. It's close to that, but I think sneaky Lisa did something with the data on there to mess with me. So I'm saying I'm leaning towards that one being false. Now, OpenAI was the first ever AI model. Yeah, not exactly sure, but I'm saying 1 or A is false since 2015. I think you messed with me on the year.
Tyler.
2, B.
Any explanation necessary?
Well, that's a short answer.
Yeah, always.
Well, okay.
But he's not always right, though.
No.
Just 99% of the time.
Oh God, Tyler, please.
What
What a humble opinion here today.
We're gonna have to do the AI review of Tyler's predictions on the show.
I think so too. I think Keith, that is a very good idea.
We did that.
I know, but now we're going to say
3 rate cuts, Broadcom.
well, we'll don't 99% seems a little high, Tyler.
I mean, that's 100 pro.
You have 3 rate cuts in for this year, so I
Yeah.
cannot wait until to bust that expectation of yours.
Be off at 3 as
Fed,
well.
Fed said they're going to wait till September to do anything. We're going to go back to back to back.
Okay.
25, 25,
Well,
25.
Well, no.
Anyways, back to my AI.
Back to the questions.
I think he's ducking your question, Lisa.
XAI 2023, that was pretty much when Musk started blasting OpenAI for what they're doing. And I imagine that's the right year because it's 2023 seems right for XAI to be founded. And then as far as my biggest thing is creating the first ever AI model. AI has been around for a lot longer than people think it has been. It's just been, this is the new agentic AI that we now have, but AI has been around for a long time. I always go back to like IBM, the chess game or the chess AI player. And so I would venture, and maybe even mess with 2015 from when OpenAI was founded, but I would, 2 just seems more obvious to me that it's not the first ever. It's the first agentic AI model, but it's not the first
Usually
AI.
Good. Get to an end here,
So
Tyler.
2.
Yeah.
He was going from to a long-winded answer.
You asked for an explanation.
Anyways, I could trick Keith today,
Nice.
but not Tyler. So I didn't tamper with the years what I normally do.
99%.
Oh, come on, Tyler, please. So it was not the first ever AI model because, again, like the chess AI version, like back in the 50s, actually is considered AI, and it was actually beating some high-profile chess players back in the days. But anyways, OpenAI launched the first kind of mainstream agentic AI that is really usable for
Must have Mr.
mainstream.
99% over there.
Yeah, right, exactly. So anyways, I brought you that special edition for that because there's something going on at the moment where we as financial tech, whatever, are interested at to watch because it can have implication for other big
For
tech
sure.
companies. So we will explore all of that a little bit now. So anyways, Elon Musk's and Sam Altman's Feud is going into the next round because Elon Musk is suing OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman and OpenAI's president what's the name of the other one? Greg Brockman, for them allegedly betraying him and using his funds because he was initially part of OpenAI and funding and the business and getting them off the ground. And he's suing now. So it sounds quite like the telenovela here. I think Netflix is already around the corner watching and and getting a true crime / documentary on the start. Anyways, let's get a little history here because this can be quite confusing. What this lawsuit actually currently in the courts, what this is about. So initially, again, Elon Musk and Sam Altman were launching OpenAI as a startup, as a non-profit startup for benefit of humanity to create and develop all of these AI models. And then Sam Altman was tasked to raise funds to do so and get developers and all of that lined up, but he was not able to do it because of the non-profit structure of it. So he was not able to raise funds. So Elon Musk then suggested, hey, we can change to a for-profit and I can be the controller of all of that. Well, OpenAI's board was not happy with that and gave him the boot. So Elon Musk left the company as a whole. Fast forward to 2026, OpenAI is worth nearly $1 trillion today.
Wow, that's real money.
Yep. So there might be some second thoughts of Elon Musk now that he got out that early. Anyways, he's suing now because he said, okay, the way OpenAI, because by now they moved from a nonprofit to a for-profit, very much for-profit, that is illegal. And in the wake of it, Greg Brockman and Sam Altman enriched themselves and were using Elon Musk in the beginning and his money to get that started. And this is not illegal. So he calls for, first of all, the CEO, Sam Altman, to be ousted. And second of all, OpenAI to move back to a nonprofit. That is what the lawsuit actually is about the legality of moving from a nonprofit to a for-profit. So, Keith, I want to start with you. A loaded question, and we get into a little bit more details. So is Musk's whole humanity argument that this should be for the benefit of humanity, is that at all believable or genuine? Or is it all in the end about hypocrisy a little bit? And to hurt and oust a competitor? Like, what are your overall thoughts? And then we go a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's a fascinating, story. Obviously, OpenAI, AI in general, it's such a fast track growing. Everybody's got interest in it. Musk, the richest person out there. Obviously, he's a visionary in a lot of different areas. Now, what I find is, fascinating is I think there's some merit of saying you're moving from a nonprofit to a profit. I think that's a little big picture. I think problematic if your intentions were, again, I don't know if it was for the good of humanity or if this is kind of what they originally started down the path and all of a sudden they switch it from a nonprofit to profit versus, if you're stating I'm a huge capitalist and believe in, the capital markets and kind of efficiencies and kind of, there's other companies that are doing AI that were never for nonprofit, right? There's plenty of competition out there, which is good. Now, going from a nonprofit to a profit, yeah, I think that's a little problematic, I think. Now, again, how sincere is Elon Musk since he's the richest person? Again, I don't know if money necessarily matters to him as much as someone was kind of going up the ladder,
And he was
right?
saying if he gets something, and he is, I think, demanding a lot of money from that lawsuit, whatever he gets from that, he is giving that back to OpenAI's.
The nonprofit
Yeah,
organization.
the non-profit
So
organization.
I do think it's that's probably worth the intentions, and I do think he is one of the people out there kind of saying AI, we gotta make sure it's got some guardrails. And it's funny now he's got his own version of it, and we'll see what happens.
It's good that you mentioned that, because that is kind of a little bit the center of hypocrisy, I think, for me a little bit,
Mhm.
because both Sam Altman and Elon Musk were ringing the alarm bells early on already, how powerful AI can be, and that it can be the end of humanity. It sounds a little bit like sci-fi, but it can be, it is dangerous. It can be dangerous. It's basically non-regulated at the moment. It's like the wild, wild west. It still is. And that it can be really dangerous. So back in 2023, it was in March 2023, and that month and year is important for what I'm asking you guys later. He got an open letter out asking for and calling for a 6-month pause on training AI systems that are more powerful than GPT-4. And GPT-4 from OpenAI was the most powerful chat back then. And the second demand was if companies refused to dial back their research until, give humans time to catch up, the government should step in and should get some regulations going. So it received over 3,000 signatures from scientists, from AI developers, and all of that. Summarize that little endeavor here. It didn't slow anything down whatsoever. Nothing. And the interesting thing is, that was in March 2023, and in July of 2023, all of a sudden he launched his own very much for-profit XAI firm, which is interesting because he gives the talk about humanity and questions now Sam Altman's ethics, but he is doing it in a for-profit as well. I haven't heard anything that is for humanity in his AI firm. And also back then, when Sam Altman with OpenAI had troubles raising funds for the nonprofit, he was suggesting moving to a for-profit, but he couldn't control it because OpenAI's board was not agreeing to that. And that's why he was basically getting out. So Tyler, I mean, critics say that the road from, hey, we should all pause for AI development and should all kind of take a step back and slow things down to, oh, I'm launching my own AI firm. I mean, that was a couple of months. That was short.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how serious can we take that anyways? I mean, was he just like a little bit sad that he was not on the forefront of this development anymore and just wanted to slow down competitors to have time to do his own thing and catch up? And is that maybe also the background of this whole lawsuit right now? Because both of them are racing for an IPO. Obviously, first to market is a little bit of an advantage. So where are we with this? Like, how much hypocrisy is in there? How much really ethical thinking is part of all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's a lot of hypocrisy there. You don't start up a AI firm and have it launch within 2 months. Number one.
So you think he was already lined up when he got that letter out?
Yeah, you already have people working on it. Now, maybe it's truthful. It took a month for him to get a viable product out there and continue to develop on top of it. But I'm guessing there was stuff happening in the background for him that he already had something lined up. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is the biggest crutch for him is XAI, and he can hide behind the veil of the SpaceX IPO is more about SpaceX. And what's his, am I blanking? Starlink is more about that than XAI, but XAI is technically under the umbrella of SpaceX. So
that's a lot of his companies though when he started them, right? Also Tesla had a bunch of these far
Yeah,
flung
but-
ideas and
Right, but you say that you want it to be your argument in court is that this is supposed to be, and I guess the court case is specific to OpenAI,
Mhm.
right? Saying you're going from a nonprofit to a for-profit, but then his whole business on the AI side, his argument is that you don't want it to be a for-profit because for the better of humanity, but then you're having a for-profit under your SpaceX that's IPO, hopefully IPOing at some point this year.
And another
So
interesting.
it's just like I don't know really what his argument is. Elon is such an interesting guy that I don't think anybody knows what's going through his head. So it's just a challenge because he probably has so many thoughts on different things that are so far above what I can even fathom thinking.
Mr. 99%, he's above that. That's pretty good.
But I mean, if you look at Elon's, I get the OpenAI side of it where they want to go for a for-profit because they want to IPO because the amount of funds that they need, you can't just continue doing funding rounds for money, right? At some point you have to IPO to get cash in the door to be able to fund the different data centers, chip deals that we've been seeing, like all of the stuff that OpenAI has been committing to. At some point you need the funds to do that. So I get their side of it going for profit so they can actually do the IPO and unlock some of that capital. But at the same time, I mean, Elon Musk, from his standpoint, his whole thesis is for the better of humanity. So I truly believe that he feels that everything that he does is for the better of humanity, whether that's Tesla creating EV cars, creating self-driving cars, creating his
Robotics.
robotics, but then like the tunnel, like the LA tunnel or whatever it is, whatever the boring company.
Yeah.
Trying to reduce traffic, trying to create a Starlink so that everybody has access to internet, creating SpaceX so that we can actually do space exploration and learn more about everything. I just think his whole thesis on his, and you can even go back, like PayPal. He was a founder of PayPal, which is where he kind of got his start. Creating easier payments for people, right? Like all of the things that he does is towards like trying to create a better ecosystem, better life, and opening access to people is kind of what his main thesis is. So I get his argument, but at the same time, it's a little bit Hippocratic that he's doing an IPO with his for-profit AI company.
And then also another interesting thing to this is that Grok XAI's chat was apparently, allegedly, in the beginning trained on OpenAI's AI models. Again, allegedly, but apparently it was good enough for that. And now it's,
Oh, might as well take the product that he paid for.
in the beginning. So anyways, so what does that trial now, and we do not know the outcome yet. We do not know who loses. We do not know what money is involved here. It's still pretty much going on here. I think jury is expected to start deliberations May 12th or something like that, which is not far in the future, but there are some high profile people are coming in and testifying from here until then. So what does this trial now mean for others? Given, like, for example, Anthropic, another big player in that space, they had their own little feud going on with OpenAI, the founder of and CEO of Anthropic with Sam Altman, when they had Anthropic had the little mess up with the U.S. government, that the U.S. government said, hey, let us use your AI model how we want. Otherwise, we kind of make
surveillance.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, we make your life a little bit miserable. Anthropic said, no, we don't want that. And OpenAI jumped in and said, hey, if these guys are not doing it, I can do. There was their own little thing going on, but this I think shows also how high the stakes are, and how much money and fame there is to take. Anyways, so it's Anthropic, another big player out there. Google, for example, with the Gemini, or other tech companies. For example, Microsoft was a big partner of OpenAI very early on. It still is. Other big tech names as well. So a lot of these investors for OpenAI, what implications would have a negative ruling have for all of these investors in OpenAI, first of all, but also could this ruling be a precedent for the others? Keith, what are your overall thoughts on something like that?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it, unfortunately, is too yet to be determined, right? Depends on what the kind of ruling is and how onerous it would be. And I don't know, it definitely would throw, I think the markets, like if it ruled in favor of Musk and OpenAI has to go back to nonprofit, I think there would be some kind of a little knee-jerk reaction, probably negative, I think, especially for, they're one of the big consumers of data centers and semis. I think all that stuff that's been working well, I think that would probably, like, people like, oh, there's one of our big boys kind of getting in nonprofit status, which I think would then, the spend would be a lot harder, right? Because then also your investors. So I think that would probably be my guess would be the most knee-jerk reaction in the market. So in the end, do I think it's probably going to happen? Probably not. So even if you're a Musk fan, I think it's an uphill battle. And for the markets, I think it would be a surprise, probably a slight negative. Well, I mean, eventually it gets over with, because I think capital markets work, they'll flow to the ones that are working, and OpenAI is less relevant today than it was a year ago, relative to competition-wise.
I mean, one of the big things right now is whether it's SpaceX, OpenAI, like you can get secondary market shares or rights to shares because there's the expectation that they're going to IPO. So I think to Keith's point, the knee-jerk reaction would be there's a lot less liquidity in like that secondary off private-ish market, because now all of a sudden you have the whole point of IPOing. Number one is to get capital, but then number two is also to unlock liquidity for your investors that were early on or different stages. And so as soon as that happens, if the ruling does show that they have to go back to a nonprofit and they cannot IPO, that private so like when there's interval funds out there, there's ETFs now out there that have the rights to different shares, whether it's SpaceX through special purpose vehicles or OpenAI, and it's a pretty liquid market because there's the expectation that they're going to IPO. The knee-jerk reaction to Keith's point is that if indeed the court says no, OpenAI has to go back to a nonprofit, it's like, how do you actually unlock liquidity in the investment that you've made in this company? And that market dries up very fast.
Yeah, because you're investing in a public company, you want it to grow, and if a nonprofit, there's a different agenda.
Because private equity, the whole purpose is you get early on, you find this unicorn like an OpenAI, and then all of a sudden you get a 10-bagger that gives you the
or 500 bagger. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like, but as soon as that goes away, it's like, well, the only thing that I have going for me now is their profit generation over the next 30 years to pay off my investment. So that changes the game quite a bit. And I think that liquidity in the back end market dries up very, very quickly.
Yeah, there'll be some unintended consequences if that happen.
And then the ability to raise capital, to your point, like the chain effect of that goes across. We've been seeing semis ripping because you're hearing 200 billion or 20 billion, $200 billion investments in the different chips that these companies need. If that liquidity dries up, they can't get capital. So I think there's a big chain reaction across the tech space, even the industrial space or financial space too, for that matter, that I don't think.
Yeah, no one's talking about that. So I think that would be the one thing that would be like, whoa, all of a sudden some investments have to.
Can that also be like a precedent for the broader AI landscape? I mean, the scope of this lawsuit is, was it legal for OpenAI to move from a nonprofit to a for-profit, and does it need to go back to where it came from? This is not really an issue for other AI companies because they were set up for-profit. So not the president of the lawsuit itself, but we see that's the first AI big thing that is going to court. So can it be the start of some regulations or some framework or some form of scrutiny, given like AI development and all of that? That's wild, wild west. There's no government intervention. There is no guardrails. There's no framework, no laws. Can that be the start of, hey, we really actually see some regulations? And if we see, is that probably not initially positive, right? But can that be positive for markets going forward?
Well, didn't they restructure the nonprofit company so that the nonprofit technically still owns? I would imagine they went through lawyers that know the codes and know business restructuring,
Yeah.
right? Restructuring 101. I imagine that, I'm sure they hired Ernst & Young or whoever else, PwC, to
Are their own AI.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they probably went through this. So I'm pretty sure
it's ChatGPT.
I'm pretty sure the nonprofit still owns. So like all the investors have shares in the nonprofit, and then the nonprofit owns the for-profit entity, right?
I
think,
don't know.
So like the
how
nonprofit
structure
still
is.
exists. And that's where all the investors are in, and then they just receive the funds
through the profit.
through the for-profit as they IPO, something like that.
Yeah, and it depends on how this
I don't know.
legal ruling goes, right? It kind of tears apart that or not. I just think if Musk wins it, it's going to be just a knee-jerk reaction for some of this AI. But I think doesn't impact AI in the longer term, because I think there's plenty of other competitors there that are for profit. They're going to keep going, and they'd be slight winners in that case, right? But I think one of your big spenders would have to kind of call a timeout and refigure out how life is going to go forward.
Yeah.
So,
but you mentioned something really good. Like there are some big fish in the pond, competitors. Yeah, there are some. So the AI landscapes overall consists of just a couple of very dominant players. They all fight, with hand and teeth with each other for market share and for who is having the edge, who is getting out the new one. And this lawsuit, at the end of the day, is probably a question if it's ethics or humanity, or if it's more like getting a competitor stepping on the brakes and getting an advantage here. So that is up for discussion, whoever thinks about that. But the overall thing is the AI landscape is dominated by a couple of players. So do you think going forward it will be more fragmented and everyone is kind of getting their niche, and we are having more a diverse landscape of who is actually providing these services and working on that? Or do you think it's getting even more consolidated than it is already? And what will be healthy actually for the market? So what is a scenario that likely occurs, and what would actually be better for humanity, to stay with that?
I think it'd be better if it was more fragmented. Do I think it's going to happen? No. I think it's actually going to be the bigger guys, the ones that are spending, are going to do it. Now, there'll be niche applications that things will fit in, and there's whole copywriting issues going on to what all this is read and how does that AI models train on that. So it is the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
And I do think people are spending because it's real. It makes jobs more efficient. It certainly does. I mean, we've been talking about that for a while now. It's, we're doing PowerPoints here that used to take us 4 or 5 hours, and you can do them in, 5 minutes now. And that just gives you 4 or 5 hours to do something that's even more, you increase your productivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's, again, it's a fascinating case just from, I'm sure that you're right. There'll be a Netflix movie or two, and maybe Lisa, you can co-host or narrate for it.
I mean, DeepSeek just had a funding round. I think it was 45 billion was their funding round size. But I don't think you're going to see many like that, because to Keith's point, like these guys are going to, as you train your model, you're going to have to pay for the copywriting, right? So you have to make these deals with all sorts of different companies, smaller companies. Now, yeah, you could get a private equity backed type of company like an Anthropic could get started, but at this point I think it's far and few between. And so I think at this point you're pretty much you could there be additional models that are created off of the big guys? Sure, but they're going to be more for specific use cases. So one that I heard about yesterday from our tech team was the recordings. So like the note takers. Like there's a lot of little ones out there that are pretty cheap, but they're always good at one thing. And they always, like if we're just having this conversation, what Chris was saying was, even though we're just talking about markets, it'll still come up with like a to-do list or a task that comes out of what we're talking about today, regardless if there's a task or not. So like it's really good at creating tasks for you. There's some that are really good at giving you detailed recordings. There's some that are really good at, but then there's more expensive ones that give you good of everything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the big guys do, is they're good at everything. So you might be able to find, there might be a startup that might be able to get you really good at finding up-to-date information on financial news. There might be one that's really good at getting you up-to-date information on whatever it is, but it's not going to give you a good answer on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think it stays somewhat fragmented, but also it's more of like a here's the really good ones at the top, and then all of these little ones underneath.
It's kind of a software, is it?
Yeah.
It's kind of development.
How
of
much you want to
software.
pay and
The big one, you can do it all, or you can get the best of breed kind of argument, right?
I think that's where the space goes.
And a last note on that. I also want to ask you who has more to lose here? Elon Musk or Sam Altman? Obviously not for the lawsuit itself. That's pretty obvious who has more to lose. Obviously
Altman,
it's
for sure.
It's Altman. I want to come from the reputational side. Who has more to lose on the reputational side? I think by now everyone knows Elon Musk. He's a very polarizing figure. He's very, the mainstream knows him and knows what he is, and everyone has an opinion about him, either if it's good or bad. I feel it's either good or bad. There's no in between and no indifference to Elon Musk. You have an opinion on him. With Sam Altman, though, he's still not very known to a lot of people, right? He's still not that out there, like to the mainstream.
Yeah.
To us, yes. To people who are in the finance and business, but not really that known to mainstream yet, or people that had not that much opportunity to give him a label of what he stands for. So who has more to lose on the reputational side?
I think it's Altman, just he's less known, but still, I think Elon Musk, everybody he's a known commodity, whether you like him or not. He's a visionary, and this is just part of his process. And it doesn't surprise me that the lawsuit's happening. Now, I think it's an uphill battle for him to win. So that's where I do think Altman, that would be a big step back, I think, if they lost the case for him, reputation.
Do you think that would be a big step back for OpenAI for sure, but also for the general development of AI?
Yeah, I think anybody that's ahead of, their Brockman, him, I think that's a kind of a, I don't know, beat down or whatever you want to call it.
But not for the development of AI.
No, exactly.
I mean, you've got Anthropic, you've got XAI, you've got Gemini, you've got Copilot. All of them are going to continue to invest their billions and billions of dollars into their research. So I don't think it slows it down. And I would even say that Anthropic, in my opinion, Anthropic's leapfrog OpenAI.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now they do different things, but I would say
On the enterprise side.
Yeah,
for sure,
so like Anthropic gives you deeper thought versus ChatGPT gives you high level. And then Grok or XAI is more like up-to-date information, like it's trained on current news. So I don't think it slows down the development whatsoever.
Okay.
It's just a big blow for OpenAI, because I always go back to the analogy of Kleenex. Kleenex is a brand, but everybody calls it Kleenex even though it's a tissue, right? It's synonymous. Same concept right now is you talk about AI and everybody's minds go to ChatGPT.
I ChatGPT yeah.
Well, it's like Google and search, right?
Yeah.
Search. I mean, that's probably
You can use there's a whole host of different search engines. So I think the biggest blow would be all of a sudden you start hearing more about Anthropic, you start hearing more about Grok, you start hearing more about Gemini and people's minds go from AI/ChatGPT to AI/Claude or AI/Grok or whatever it is. I think that'd be the biggest blow to.
Yeah. Well, now we philosophized a lot about that. I brought so many more topics.
Oh, let's say those for next week.
We have to say that for next week for Lucky Keith.
I think we should switch our. So I can use
I
these
you know,
notes.
I'm prepared for a 2 or 3 hour podcast as well. Anyways, let's end it on this note. It was a very deep dive into AI and OpenAI and XAI and Elon Musk and Sam Altman. So it was a little bit nerdier session today, but you know, that's what the Pickers podcast is all about. We just talk about things that are interesting out there and current. So anyways, be back next week. The topics are already written. So make sure you like and subscribe and come back next week. Thank you.